yeah.
engineered mosquitoes in Florida now and in Texas, and you saw cases of malaria pop up afterwards, but they're supposed to be doing this and that. Is that just a small kind of, a foresight into what we may see more and more if we continue down this road, as far as we have no clue what's going to happen as we release these things into the environment?
A company called Oxitec genetically engineered mosquitoes so that the population of Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, which carry Zika, dengue fever, and chikungunya diseases, would be reduced. And they got it released in Panama, in Brazil, in the Cayman Islands, and one other place. I think escaping me now. And they were trying to get it released in Florida. And so I was testifying at the Florida Mosquito Control Board in Key West, and their scientist was testifying in favor of it. And I was talking to this scientist, Derek Nemo, and I said, Derek, when you release these mosquitoes, you're changing the gene pool of mosquitoes, of the planet. He goes, oh, no. They're designed to die off. They'll only exist if we're releasing them. They won't survive. Now, they had said that there's a 0% chance that they'd live. It turns out there's a 3% natural chance, but in the presence of tetracycline, which is found in a lot of things, including cat food, it was an 18% survival rate. They said, oh, there's no females that bite being released, but millions of them were being released. So they were lying. But he was saying, I'm absolutely confident we're not going to affect the gene pool. Well, 3 years after they released millions or billions in Brazil, they found in 60% of their samples genomes that had never existed on Earth before. They were a combination of the two types of mosquito genes from Oxitec's version and the natural ones. And they didn't know whether these were more likely to carry disease or harder to eradicate. No one had done any studies on it. No one had seen it before. So Derek Nemo was wrong. So then I said to him, Derek, have you looked at the saliva of your mosquitoes? Because you're releasing a lot of females because they get through your filtering process. So people are getting bitten and the saliva goes through the blood. Have you tested the saliva? He goes, well, we're just now seeing if the gene product from the gene that we're inserting is expressed in the saliva. So I'm thinking, a little late, my friend. You've already released millions in 4 countries. And I said to him, Derek, when you genetically engineer something, you can create massive collateral damage, changing the expressions of other genes accidentally. There's a human cell that they put in a gene carefully, and up to 5% of the expressing genes change their levels of expression. Some switched on for the first time, some shut down, many changed their levels. So you might have allergens or toxins or carcinogens that you're not even aware of. Shouldn't you be testing the full saliva and not just for one protein? I'll never forget his response. He said, good idea. So,
oh boy,
they did get approval to release it. They had a newer version, which has its own problems. They claim it solved the problems before, but they were lying again, and it didn't. And they did release it. But then it was interesting that they didn't actually accomplish what they were looking for. They rolled it out in the Caymans in a test, and we paid for Freedom of Information Act reports, and it showed that it was a failure. Now, before they released the fact that it was a failure, they were ready to roll it out nationwide, the entire Cayman Islands. And when it was released that it was a failure, they quietly left and fired all the people that they had hired locally. It was a failure everywhere. It never reduced the amount of disease. In fact, they wanted to release it in 12 counties in California to reduce the incidence of local propagated diseases in these categories. There wasn't a single disease for the last 10 years in that category that started in California. The few that happened came from other states. There was no need for it. California said no, but Texas apparently didn't, and Florida is like gung-ho. So it wasn't the malarious mosquitoes that Bill Gates is looking for now. He's looking for using gene drives that will kill off the mosquitoes through population, as they have progeny. But gene drives are very controversial because it completely can eradicate an entire species. And when you get rid of the Aedes aegypti, more aggressive tiger mosquitoes might come in and fill the niche, and they also carry these things. Also, what about the birds or the insects that eat
Right.
the insects? We don't know that. Also, genetic engineering is a leaky technology. You have a killer gene in one insect. What if it transfers through horizontal gene transfer to something that eats it or something that's next to it or whatever? Now you may be killing off random insects or other types of animals or plants or whatever. No. So it's a very powerful technology made available because of gene editing. And it puts genetic engineering technology into the organism so their offspring has a GMO that creates GMOs that transfers things between chromosomes, and it passes along the genetic engineering machinery in a way that may be forever unrecallable and out of control.
Yeah.
So I'm not in favor of that as a solution to a problem which is very often created by industrial agriculture and inappropriate ecological actions.